Hello, everyone. So, a bit of a scene change. We're actually in front of a different bookshelf that I have that's mostly my Christian collection of books. So, this is most of my Christian collection that I have. Today, we are going to go through 4 books that help me through different health issues throughout my life. But we're going to try and stay hydrated today. So, cheers, and let's talk about these books. First up, this book was actually published in the 80s. It's You Gotta Keep Dancing by Tim Hansel. I originally read this in 2014 as a library book, and you'll realize a theme with these next few books of when I read them. They all occurred in 2020, so I first read this in 2014 as a library book, and then I bought it and read it in 2020 to tab and highlight and stuff for myself because I really enjoyed it back in 2014, and then a different health struggle came up in 2020 that had nothing to do with COVID that I needed to read it again because I remember its use of the Bible and being really helpful to me, especially in the way that I understood Psalm 23:1, which is, "The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want," and just looking that in a different light and a different way in a lens of chronic pain and trying to be positive through that. This was really impactful. And this is basically Tim Hansel had a really bad climbing accident where he actually had a spinal cord injury when he had a really bad fall while climbing. And this basically is his take on using the Bible to help him through that, and how he was went through the whole angry at God process, and looking at the Psalms and everything with that, and how the Bible and God helped him through this. And it was just really impactful for me twice in my life going through various health things. But I think this is also important to read for people who maybe don't have life health struggles, and it can make you look at the struggles that you go through as well, that may not be health related, and to just find the pieces of positivity and joy in that struggle. So Tim Hansel's Gotta Keep Dancing is book 1. The next book is It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lysa TerKeurst. And this one also picked up and read in 2020. Definitely highlighted and tabbed a bunch of stuff. It definitely spoke to me specifically in that time of health struggle that I was having, and relating struggles in your life of unexpected struggles, of unexpected storms that arise out of kind of nowhere, and just had biblical lessons and excerpts and things to speak to how God uses these unexpected storms and struggles to shape us into the Christian He wants us to be. And one of the major things in this that I remember is that she mentions the verses about God shaping us like clay, and being we're pottery, and trying to shape us into being more like Jesus, and how He uses some of these struggles that we go through to both break us but also build us up again. So I'll read you the excerpt that I'm kind of talking about. She's talking about something that a friend told her. says, "She told me that wise potters not only know how to form beautiful things from clay, but they also know how important it is to add some of the dust from previously broken pieces of pottery to the new clay. This type of dust is called grog. To get this grog, the broken pieces must be shattered to dust just right. If the dust is shattered too finely, then it won't add any structure to the new clay. And if it's not shattered enough, the grog will be too coarse and make the potter's hands bleed. But when shattered just right, the grog dust added to the new clay will enable the potter to form the clay into a larger, stronger vessel than ever before, and it can go through fire much hotter as well." So that was like the the section that really stuck out to me, that I still remember 6 years later being a part of this book. So I highly recommend this for anyone who has had their life circumstances just all of a sudden create chaos, and you need kind of like a peace and a grounding to try and understand why. This was definitely very helpful to me because I had actually read it right after being discharged from the hospital, and really needed it at that time. So that's book 2 that I recommend. And the next book is called The Hardest Piece by Kara Tippett. And she was actually a blogger. She wrote blog entries before she even wrote this book. This is about her battling cancer. Both, I think it mentions like the first sign of it and then going into remission and then it coming back again, and just her outlook on that. And I actually picked this up because on the Bible app, there's a condensed version of this study. And it pointed out things, hard things in life that I didn't have a perspective on until she brings it up in this book. And I obviously have never gone through as difficult of things as having a cancer diagnosis, but this, I think, speaks on also the surrounding family dynamic of when you have kids and they realize what cancer is and what cancer means, and that they might lose their mom, and how this can affect basically the family going through a hard health thing like this. So definitely a difficult read, I think, especially speaking about cancer. That's something we don't have a cure for yet, but still a Christian perspective on going through something like that and how God uses it. So this would be book 3. And finally, my most recent read, which I also talked about in a previous wrap up, and that's Locked In by Victoria Arlen. This is her autobiography, basically, from taking from her childhood up until her 20s, that she, around, I think it's like 10 or 11, she contracted 2 different rare diseases at the same time that put her in a coma and then a vegetative state. And then after that, she was paralyzed and had to use a wheelchair. And it talks about her being in the Paralympics, but then she worked to then be able to walk again, and eventually ends up on Dancing with the Stars. If you maybe are familiar with her name, she was on Dancing with the Stars, and she's also currently a reporter for ESPN, so you may have heard her name there and just not known she had this miraculous, amazing backstory. But she is Christian, and she attributes a lot of this miracle to God, and just uses it to continue to spread God's work in her life and the gospel. So this one, not like the previous books I mentioned, where it kind of gives you a more biblical based and Bible reference to helping you through your struggle, your health struggle. But this one, it's still as like from coming from a fellow Christian story of how God worked in her life, prolonged like years of trying to figure out this health struggle. And I think in that it can give, maybe if you're feeling like you're running your race, but you're not getting anywhere. And that whole concept of God working in his time, this is definitely, I think, a reminder for that um, you sometimes can be waiting for years and just having to be consistent in your life and following Jesus, and eventually you'll get to a place that God intended you to be, but it may not be right in the moment that you're in. So, Locked In is my fourth and final pick. So I mentioned all of these personally helped me through my struggles, and if you have any other recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. And I'm not going to discuss exactly what my health circumstances are. I don't feel comfortable with that on the internet like other people are. I just know that it had nothing to do with COVID, and it happened around 2020, and I'm still dealing with stuff. So if you have more recommendations for me, I'll definitely check them out. And if this video helped you out, please leave it a like so that other people can see my recommendations. And as always, as long as you click that subscribe button, I can see everyone in the next video. Thank you for watching. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the